Hey, it's Micah, and this is going to be a conversation with someone I don't believe I've ever introduced to the channel before. Her name's Brittany Penn, and she's an animator who helps on most of my projects, from animated loops to music videos. Can you tell people what kind of work did you do on this project?
Well, I was primarily cleanup animator and also did in-betweens when needed. And then I did some background painting, which was mostly just the coloring, filling in the lines of what you designed and figuring out the lighting. And then I also did just a little bit of early brainstorming on the character designs, just doing some loose sketches and storyboarding some ideas just to help you get jump started on visualizing.
Well, I definitely couldn't have done it without you, that's for sure.
I'm sorry. That was so scripted sounding. Well, I definitely couldn't have done it without you.
Well, it's true. It's teamwork. What was the hardest part about this project for you?
Probably managing the eye strain. It was a lot of hours of looking at the Cintiq, and there's really no other way to be productive without just spending all day looking at the screen. So I had to start using blue light glasses. I think that the rubber hose style was really nice to work in and animator friendly, but it was still difficult to keep track of when there was a lot of different shapes going on, especially if the in-betweens weren't figured out and I had to think a little harder about the in-betweens when stuff is flying around and there's Doc Ock has a bunch of arms. And then as far as the backgrounds, when you're doing black and white backgrounds, you really can't ignore value grouping, which is where you figure out the foreground, the midground, the background, and then you have to really think about separating those things and keeping, like, this is all the dark stuff, this is all the light stuff, and then keeping those values really similar within those groups. And I had to kind of pester you sometimes with what color is the sky? Is it nighttime? Is it dark? Because where the main light source is coming from can completely change how you paint the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Even if you're just doing a silly comedy, I have to have some kind of thought process in how to paint each scene.
The cartoon starts out in the daytime, but if you pay attention, the skies are gradually getting darker and darker, so by the end of it, it's like nighttime. Which was like kind of an accident, but it kind of worked out in a way.
I'm glad it worked out, because we weren't always painting those backgrounds in order.
Yeah,
so.
It's jazz. Just improvise.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it worked out.
So, what did you enjoy the most about this project?
Working in the rubber hose style. It was really cool to... I've always wanted to make a film in that style, and so to be a part of that was really exciting.
Yeah, we've done stuff that's like influenced by it, but never like a true 1930s black and white, like full love letter.
Really going for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was... I didn't really know much about Venom before that, but to be able to do just a goopy character was really cool.
Yeah, you thought he was Spawn at first.
Did I? I don't even know what right? That... is he more of a bad guy? I don't know. We hadn't really done a narrative film, and doing a comedy was cool.
Yeah, well, we've had like narratives, like storylines, but they've always been like really surreal. Whereas this one, it had comedy, it had gags, it had like characters, villains, heroes, but like the story was still pretty surreal. But like, I think one of the hardest things was trying to condense the script, because we had a lot of just raw ideas in the script, so we had to figure out how to like tell some kind of coherent story out of all that. What are your thoughts on rubber hose animation?
It highlights one of the most fun aspects of animation, which is squash and stretch, and having the really rounded, simplified forms. You can really play with that without worrying about, is this anatomy realistic and consistent. You can kind of, as long as you can stretch them really far, and as long as they bounce back, it works. So we can decisively be, okay, we want to have this shot be a little bit easier and cheaper by just having it be on a fun little loop. But you can also push it and do the really crazy stuff where there's all kinds of things flying around everywhere and it's not really a loop. So it's flexible as far as the budget also.
Yeah, the rubber hose, it allows for the most squash and stretch out of any style, like where you can get away with it without it looking too weird. But also, like you said, like you can get away with loops a lot because that classic style was a lot built on loops and like being synced to the music. So it doesn't necessarily feel cheap in the same way like if it was like a big Hollywood movie and like they were just using loops all the time, unless it fit the style. It's like more in line with the style.
It's nice because when you're watching that kind of thing, the audience gets used to the fact that everything, like all the background characters, are kind of on a loop. So it's nice that the background characters aren't always just a still drawing. Like you can just have them going like that, and the audience doesn't think that's weird because that's just the style.
Yeah, the whole world is alive.
If you're gonna do rubber hose, you have to decide: are you gonna be authentic completely to the style, or are you gonna put your own modern flourishes on the timing and the character designs? And this was more of a genre mashup, action comedy with a little bit more modern timing and stuff. If you're gonna do a rubber hose, you have to kind of decide, is this gonna be more freestyle or not? And then also, you have to be aware when you're doing character design in rubber hose to be aware of the historical roots of it and make sure you're not doing anything that was a racially charged stereotype. You have to really pay attention to that in the way that you're designing the characters.
What activities do you enjoy to recover from a long day of animating?
Watch animated movies.
That's a good break. Good break from it.
And cartoons, and that's just what helps me forget about my troubles. Also kind of inspire me to keep going. Yeah, sometimes I would just play Switch, but
Gotta catch those Pokemons.
Yeah, but at least when you're watching a movie, you could be a little farther away from the screen. But when I play Switch, I do handheld style, and it was getting to the point to where my eyes were getting really strained. So I had to, for the last couple months of the project, I had to ban myself from the Switch a little more.
Yeah, it's hard when you're an animator and you also love to watch animation and also play video games and be inspired by all that stuff because it's like all contained to screens. So I find walking is really helpful, just looking out far away. What's one piece of advice you'd give someone who's just starting out in animation?
My advice would be to find a balance as early as you can between self-discipline on like focusing on drawing, learning your fundamentals and figuring out what you really want to spend time practicing and making, but also not burning yourself out and putting so much pressure on your standards that it's not fun anymore.
Yeah, you can definitely take things too seriously in such a way that it actually stifles your growth and your creativity. But like you also don't want to be so loosey-goosey with everything that you're ignoring the fundamentals.
Yeah, you want to push yourself, but not too far. You gotta hold on to whatever that inner child is excited about making animation, and let yourself play and not have the standards of, is this what other people are gonna like? Is this what the industry wants to see right now?
What type of projects are you working on or would like to work on in the future?
Well, the next project I'm working on is helping Micah with his animation course.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
I would like to work on something that's like wholesome and imaginative, maybe for a younger audience. Doesn't have to be, but I might not be the most bubbliest person ever, but I like working on those kinds of projects. And so I'd like to do maybe more children's books or do character design for some kind of children's show.
Nice. Well, what about orangutans?
Oh, yeah, that was my thesis film that I never released online. Yeah, I would like to revisit that character and maybe make a spiritual successor to that film.
What are 3 modern animated series that you're enjoying right now?
Only 3?
Or just like whatever, a few, I don't know.
3 is hard, but I'll try to stick to 3. So Amphibia is a great cartoon that is on its final season right now, and it really gives me that Saturday morning feeling. I think it'll be a classic. It's really fun, but it also, once you get more into the story, has a really epic feel to it. I can't talk about our Venom project without mentioning the Cuphead show and how cool it is that that got made. I'm so glad that all the people who said 2D animation is dead were dead wrong. And we've got a rubber hose, high budget cartoon out there. It's really cool. I'll throw an anime in there. Blue Period. It's just about a guy realizing just as he's finishing high school that he's interested in art, but he feels really too late to be an artist, but his teachers say, no, you can do it if you really push yourself. So it's about him really taking a logical, practical point of view on how to be an artist and say, and actually do the work, do the exercises, figure out what he wants to say with his art.
That's a story that a lot of people can relate to since like the pandemic, when a lot of people were spending more time indoors and trying to figure out other ways to occupy their time. A lot of people have like explored other creative outlets, and like even if you're a little bit older, it's just like learning any skill. There's a logical set of steps, and it's not like it's ever too late to develop a new passion.
Yeah, and it also like touches on when you just out of the blue decide, no, I'm going to be an artist. What goes through most people's minds when they choose a path that's not very certain, and the pressure that can be associated with that. It's like, better do it good if you're going to take an uncertain path, but these days all the paths are uncertain, so it's very relatable.
I need to watch that anime. You want to know what new anime series I'm watching?
Sure.
Cowboy Bebop. It's really good.
Yeah, I told you to watch it. How far are you?
I don't want to talk about it.
I am glad that the animation industry still is going strong. The independent animation industry, and there's lots of room to grow, and 2D animation is there's still a lot of room to grow, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Yeah.
That's what I have to say.
Totally. Great answer. Teamwork. The last question is, where can people find you online to keep up with your work?
Instagram is where I'm most active. It's Kid Penn, KIDD_PENN.
I'll put the link to that in the comments or
cool
description.
And just a disclaimer, I'm not very consistent as far as my art style. I like to play around with different art styles a lot. So you might see some crazy Micah Buzan cleanup on there, and then I'll be posting children's book character designs that are super cute.
Well, thanks for taking the call. Thanks for the teamworks.
Talk to you soon. Thank you for interviewing me.
Thank you for watching and leaving a like if you liked it. I read all the comments, and I try to respond to every comment left during the first few days of a video going up. So feel free to comment a comment if you like. And if you're still watching this, you may be aware that the title of this video says Part 2. So be sure to watch Part 1 of this City of Venom behind the scenes series, where I talk about the animation process. Also, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell if you want to be notified when part 3 comes out. Thanks a lot for watching.